Over the last couple of weeks, I've been going heavy with the football, and I think it's time to get back to the roots of what has birthed this podcast, what grew this podcast to a certain level of popularity before we moved it into an all sports format. So I wanted to get back to my roots a little bit, and to help me do that, I have brought back the roundtable. You've heard them over the last at least 2 to 3 seasons with the NBA come on at various points, either preview pods or mid-season pods around the All-Star break, or sometimes even in the playoffs. So to help me get back, we just had the Kwanzaa Eve games, and everyone's putting up ridiculous rookie level 2K numbers. So to help me really get caught up and get brought up to speed on what's been going on in the NBA and what to look for, as it is now 2023, it is now January. We know that the All-Star break is coming up very soon. We know that after that, it is about the trade deadline. And then we know it is all about getting into May and eventually June to hoist up that Larry O.B. So to help me get caught up to speed, get brought up to speed is the homies. You know them. You know them as the round table. I have the homie Ab and the homie, we call him Will. But to y'all, he's just also, in case you ain't know so. But I'm going to bring them up here. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to be getting a split screen experience. If you're just listening on the audio version, you're going to hear everybody crystal clear. But I implore you, you will get a different and I think an enhanced visual experience of just, getting this content if you check it out on YouTube. So let me go ahead and switch here and make sure the homies are here. And they are here, pulling them up. Let me go ahead and unmute the mics here. So everybody is good. Okay, we have, if you're on YouTube, we're going to have Ab is on your left, my right. And then we have also, in case you ain't know so, on the other side to my right. So, fellas, I'll start with, the OG who has that Cuba in the background, always representing. We got to give props to Wilt. I know one thing for sure. We won't get into Philly too much because me and you are kind of on the same page when it comes to Philly. But just give me a sense of what's been one storyline off rip so far in the NBA that has kind of stood out to you as something that you weren't really expecting.
Man, this is going to sound like old news for your listeners because it's the same thing I talked about for the last 2 years. I have no idea how Jokic is still in the favor to be MVP this season. I have no idea how this keeps happening. Tatum's having a crazy year. KD's having a crazy year. Giannis is having a crazy year. And B's leading the league in points and defensive rating. And somehow we still have this man at the top of the MVP voting. I just cannot understand it nor explain it. But this is where we are in 2023 NBA.
And we will definitely touch on that. I definitely have some things that I want to tackle that with you for sure. Ab, you've been known to be a guy that likes to stir the pot, much like myself. You're a guy that is somehow a Nick and Net fan, and you don't get slander for it. Talk to me about something you've seen so far in this 2022-2023 NBA season that has stood out to you. Well, what's been the most surprising or noteworthy thing that you've noticed so far?
I think a couple of teams on the brink of a full-blown rebuild. And I also think that if the Knicks play their cards right, they might just land a top 5 NBA player this offseason.
Oh, see, he's already stirring. He's already stirring. So we were talking before, and there was something that we saw on Twitter that there's been a lot of noise, a lot of innuendo, a lot of rumors about Bulls shooting guard. Some would call star, maybe even some would say superstar, Zach Lavine possibly being on the trade market. Ab, you said you had a lot of thoughts on that. Now, me as a former Chicago Bulls fan, I mean, I don't think they should have re-upped him in the first place because he's not worth the bread, because you're never going to win a championship with Zach Lavine as one of your top 2 options. So
Plus his knee is getting
well, I mean,
shoddy.
the knee's always been an issue, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, look, if you look at Zach Lavine potentially in a Knick lineup, but let's backtrack. One, if your Knicks can make a trade for Zach Lavine, are you willing to mortgage what the Bulls want, or are you willing to do it at a compromised price?
Zach Lavine is clutch, right?
Says who?
Is he like what's his management name? Is Clutch correct? I'm
Oh,
asking.
he's with Clutch. Oh,
He's with
I have to
Clutch.
confirm that, but I believe so. I believe he did switch over to Clutch.
He switched over to Clutch. So yeah, he's not coming to New York.
Well, that's fair
Let me let
because
me let me let me say let me let
CAA
me
hotbed that is the Knicks.
let me preface this by saying something about Zach Lavine, and you might take it as a hot take. Right? Zach Lavine has the talent to be a top 10 player in the NBA. He has the talent. Whoa, wait, wait,
We
wait,
gonna
wait, wait,
ISO
wait,
him
wait,
on this.
wait. He is supremely skilled. He could get his own shot, right? He could work in the mid range. He could post up. He's quick as hell, but it seems like he forgot that he's athletic. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a guy that won 2 dunk contests. When's the last time you seen like Zach Lavine actually use his athleticism in a game where he was like, damn, he really like gammed it on somebody, or that was like a great dunk or something like that. He's trying to he switched his game up to be more skill based. You know what I'm saying? And it's more like so it could be like I guess more Twitter acceptable. But he should just go back to like just being using his raw athleticism. I mean, if he just does that, then I think a lot of the narratives around him will change. Me personally.
I'll just say this and then also please jump in. You just also question his knees though. So
Yeah,
how
I
can
did.
he
I did.
still have any raw
I did. I did.
athleticism left to challenge on the break if his knees are basura?
Well, I
Also,
mean, he's playing though. He is playing.
he's playing, but
He's
he's
playing.
not
He's
going
played
to
a
the
lot of
rim like you
games.
said. He's not, he
But I'm
can't.
saying I'm saying that's more based on choice, I guess, to protect his knee. But yeah, you're right. You're right. But going back to your original question, as like, no, we if the Knicks want to pursue that, then they should do a moderate, friendly exchange. Right now, I'm looking online and like the proposed rumored uh proposal for Zach would be Emmanuel Quickly, Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, and the 2020
or Fournier.
Fournier. The 2023 first round pick and the 2023 first round pick that comes from Dallas. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? That
Mm-hmm.
that take out they could keep the Dallas pick. Take the Dallas pick out.
So take out the most attractive thing in the whole package.
Or take out the Knicks pick. I mean, not 2 first round picks for this year. I mean, this is a quote unquote deep draft year, so
Is
you
it?
don't need 2. I mean, that's what all the blue checks are saying.
Well, all right. Also,
So are we keeping it funky or are we keeping it funky? I just want to
Keep
make
it
sure
all
we're
the
doing
way,
always funky,
all the way.
stanky.
to Ab's point, I mean, Zach Levine is, if we're talking about just pure talent, it's not that hot takey, I guess, right? But let's face it, man, Zach Levine's not the guy. He's a guy, but he's not the guy. And I think the Knicks need the guy to complement the rest of their pieces, like RJ, like Obi. Um, what's the other guy's name? Who's
Julius
your
Randall,
no
Randall and
the two
Brunson,
the two guard now? You guys got that's starting Quentin. Oh,
Jalen
Grimes.
Brunson,
No,
Grimes, yeah.
Grimes. Oh, you mean Grimes? Okay, yeah.
Right. And I hate to be this.
Wait. Sorry, not to. I'm sorry to cut you off at this point, but I just want to reiterate: 46 minutes a night.
Here we go. Here we go.
46 minutes a night. Deuce McBride. This is what I'm saying.
Yo, he's
But
been
go
on
ahead.
this
Go
ride
ahead.
thing for days
See
now. He's
But go
been
ahead.
on the.
But go
that.
ahead.
And I hate to be the guy that says this again,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't be repeated because you wouldn't be asking me about Zach Lavine had they made the trade for Donovan the way they should have
Facts.
before the year started. And quiet as kept, Donovan has actually improved his defense and is
Mhm.
actually an okay defender right now while hooping his ass off offensively. And he would sure look good in New York right now. He will look really, really good in New York. And everyone said, oh, but they want too much. What's too much for the Garden? What's too
Right.
much for the number one market? What's too much for the basketball mecca?
Talk about it.
I mean, I just feel like we're talking around it by talking about Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine's a guy. Donovan is the guy.
Yeah, I agree. He is a. I mean, outside of him dropping 71 the other night, he's been phenomenal for the Cavs. And I think now I know we've had debates about who's top 10, who's top 15, top 20. I think Donovan's clearly at least top 10 for sure
Oh
now.
yeah,
The way that he's improved, and the fact that the Knicks weren't willing to give up an RJ and a whole slew of picks and whatever else that the Scamadum Day Danny Ainge wanted, to me is like laughable. It was the layup of all layups. It was the worst kept secret in the whole NBA for at least 2.5 years that Donovan wanted to go be a Knick. He was the only superstar that actually wanted to go to be a Knick. And the Knicks found a way to nick it up and trick it off.
right.
Ab,
And and the funny part is
he's
this is
quiet.
the wild part.
Stern
This,
face.
this is the part that hurts. This is the part that hurts.
Uh-huh.
The Cavs, who have the best defensive rating in the entire NBA for a team standpoint,
Right.
the entire backcourt should have been the Knicks backcourt.
Garland
They should have
and
drafted
yep.
Garland over
Mm-hmm.
RJ.
Mm-hmm.
They should have got Donovan Mitchell in free agency, or I mean via trade, and that would have been it. And
Right.
then you know how happy Knicks fans would have been right now.
Donovan dropped 71 in the Mecca. They would tear down the Mellow era. It would have ceased to exist. It would be the Marbury era would have ceased to exist. It would go back to Ewing. It would be Ewing and then Donovan. It would just skip right over the bridge. Like Mello and Marbury would be the bridge to get us to Donovan if he would have dropped 71 in a Knicks tape uniform. So, but I guess that goes back to the point. Let's imagine the Knicks pull this off. Let's even imagine that to Ab's point that they're able to even hold on to some of their valuable assets and get Zach Lavine. What does that even mean if we put Zach Lavine on this Knicks team? Depending on what you give up, if you're telling me your core now is RJ, Zach, and Julius with Brunson, maybe you're a
Yeah.
5? Maybe. Maybe you can challenge for the 4? Maybe. But that's not getting the chip. Like if that's the core, what are you genuinely? I'll go to you, Ab, as a Knicks fan. If that's your core, what are realistic? And I know that's hard to do sometimes for Knicks fans. What is a realistic expectation for that core?
Yo, realist. Eastern Conference Finals.
How?
But hold on.
I'm just asking how.
Hold on.
I'm just following up.
Let me.
You're gonna paint the picture.
Let me. Okay, so 2 years ago, if I was to say that, that you will see Kevin Herter, Kevin Hunter. What's my other man? What's my man name?
Do you mean
Collins.
Herter?
Hunter,
Okay.
and Collins, right?
Uh-huh.
What would Hunter a lineup of Trae Young, Herter, Hunter, Collins, and what's their big's name again? I forgot.
Capella? You talking about the Hawks?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Ken Capella. Yeah. If I was to ask you, right, what would
Mhm.
be their ceiling? What would you tell me?
I would say that's probably a first round exit, at most a second round exit.
At most, a second round exit. Okay, so but then they actually made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
But you know that
Right,
that's
wait.
uh-huh.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
But hold on, no.
You better tell the full story.
But hold on, no. But hold on. I'm about to tell it. The only thing that Knicks squad, that proverbial Knicks squad, would need to do is try to get to the 4th seed. And when you get to they're not a first. That team on paper is not a first round exit. At least to me, that is not a first round exit. If they are able to get to the 4th seed, that's not, because the Knicks right now, quite as
what if Philly's the 5?
They're about 4 games. Knicks right now, currently standing, they're about 4 games out of the third slot. But I digress. That team on paper is at least a 4th round, right? So if you manage to get to the 2nd round, right? Now I'm glad that you brought up Philly. Philly, for all intents and purposes, have been underachieving for the past at least 3 years, correct? And it's because every time they get to the playoffs, something always happens. Someone's always hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to dig on Philly. I'm not trying to badmouth Philly. I'm not trying to do none of that. But it is what it is, right? Once you get to the playoffs, once you get past the second round, it's anybody's ball game. You know what I'm saying? For the past, I want to say 5 years, right? I don't think we've been able to predict the NBA champion, like the NBA champion at up to this point in the season. Outside of the 2000, outside of the KD Warriors, right? I don't think you've been able to actually say that this team right here is an NBA champion, is going to win the NBA title.
I have a FanDuel
Because
receipt
it's
that
more
says otherwise.
because it's more. I understand that. But it's based more on luck and the injuries, bro. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to let's go to last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I feel that Golden State won that title fair and square, let's not act like they didn't beat up on an injured riddle Denver Nuggets, right? The next round, Ja Morant got injured, even though I think that they were going to beat Memphis anyway, but still, Ja Morant got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Then they went up against a Luka-led Maverick squad, right? But
Right.
I don't think Tim Hardaway was going for the whole season. Then they
Come
then
on,
they went up.
dog.
Wait. Then they went up against a Celtic squad that Time Lord was kind of hobbled. So I'm just saying, once you get to the second round, it's really anybody's ball game. If you're a good team, if you're a top 4 seed, it's anybody's ball game. You have a chance. You just it is what it is. You have a chance. Even if you want to go back to the year prior with Milwaukee, I mean, we all know what happened to Kyrie's ankle.
All
If
right.
you want to go to the West, we all know that AD was actually got injured in the series. LeBron was hobbled. Okay. Then who else who did this Phoenix face in the second round that year?
It was a fluke run.
Denver.
It was a fluke
Denver
run.
was they had Denver. Then they had
with no Jamal Murray.
And then they had the Clippers with no Kawhi.
Right.
So I'm just saying, if you're able to be in that upper echelon when it comes time for the players, if you're able to be 1 through 4, and you can actually get past the second round, because the second round is based on talent. You could walk past the second round. You can out-talent a team in the second round. I mean, in the first round. Sorry. You can out-talent somebody in the first round.
Once you get to the Knicks out-talenting Philly? If Philly would have the best, they would have for sure the best player overall. You could debate if they have the second best player. You can make a debate if it's still the Beard or I guess Julius or Brunson. But if the point is you can talent your way through, how does that team out-talent Philly?
If the Knicks are fifth, I mean, if the Knicks are either 4th or 5th, and Philly's either 4th or 5th, correct? But then that's a big if. What about if they face Cleveland?
You think they would have more talent than Cleveland?
I won't argue with Philly. I will not argue with Philly.
Donovan will be the best player on the floor.
Yes,
he's better than Zach Lavine.
He's better than Zach Lavine, but the Knicks play good enough defense to bother Garland. They play good enough defense to bother Garland. And Mobley and Allen probably won't be that much of a factor, to be honest.
What?
I'm saying.
Why? All right.
Mobley can't shoot.
I will get back to that, but I also chime in here. Philly has been brought up. a few times here. You are our resident Sixer realist. Knicks with Zach Lavine, and again, this is all alleged, so a lot of this could just be smoke. But if the Knicks somehow pull a rabbit out of the hat and get Zach Lavine for next to nothing, how does a potential Knicks Sixers matchup look to you?
I think, as Ab said, it depends on the health of the Sixers. Joel Embiid's been injured the vast majority of the playoffs that he's played in, one way or the other. Last year, I believe they would have beat the Miami Heat had he been healthy, but he wasn't. So there we were. And just to the point of the alleged playoff matchup, to the whole idea that you have to be in it to win it, I agree with that, what Ab said, right? Here are some holes, though, in what was conveyed. It took a historic collapse of a three-time All-Star in Game 7 and Game 6 and Game 5 and Game 4 for the Hawks to advance in that series. And I don't think that you can rely on something like that ever happening again. Injuries, yes, that does happen. So yes, that's something you could rely on. But players collapsing like that, we've never seen that happen before, and I doubt we'll ever see it again. Even with the Nets this upcoming year, who, by the way, might be the team facing the Knicks and not Philly, but we'll get to that in a different part of the show.
Yep.
As far as the matchup goes, I don't think Lavine scares me any kind of way. As of right now, DeAnthony Melton is playing lights out as a wing defender, and I'm not saying he would shut down Lavine or Brunson or RJ, but I think he will hold his own, and I think he's top 3 in steals right now in the league. So he'll hold his own. Embiid's a walking bucket at this point. He puts up 40 and no one even cares anymore. So he's on the path right now to being an all-time center at this point. And I don't think only missing from his career, honestly, just a championship. But accolades wise, I think he's the guy. I think Maxi's injury is concerning because he hasn't come back yet fully. So if you don't have his speed on that team, I think the Knicks win that series pretty easily, actually. Because Harden is actually playing pretty well this year defensively and also as being a point guard. But I would take Brunson, Lavine over Harden and a hobbled Maxi. I take Embiid over whoever they got. And then it comes down to Tobias and Julius. And honestly, defensively, I take Tobias, but offensively, you got to take Randall at this point.
Right.
So, yeah, maybe a 7-game series leaning towards the Knicks, the way I see it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I'll put it like this: if this happens, which is again all alleged, but we're playing it out from this standpoint. If we're looking at matchups, this is where you got rid of Ben because you knew you had insurance of Tybal. If Tybal's anything, if he's worth his salt, we know he's very limited offensively, even though he's tried to get better from a shooting standpoint. He's still just a wing defender. He's a 3-and-D with no 3. If he's still that dude, then that's who you seek and put RJ. You put him on RJ, you put him on Brunson, you put him on whoever's a wing or a guard that's cooking. You sick him like a dog and say, yo, go clamp him up. So that way you're not depending on Maxey to stay in front of people. You're not depending on Harden to stay in front of people. They can just play their usual defense, even though, as also said, Harden actually has at least tried. The effort is there. And you can still funnel people into Embiid, and he can still clean shit up at the rim. I think the main thing is like, from an offensive standpoint, Embiid's going to cook Mitch Rob, right? Granted. I'm just curious as to when Embiid goes off the floor, outside of Maxey and Beard going nut, where are the points going to come? And that's just not against the Knicks. That's against any team in the East. Like, once Embiid's off the floor and you're depending on big minutes from Beard and or Maxey, where's that production going to come from? Not that you need to dump it down to the post old school, but just who's going to be down low to be able to be a factor. I think that
And
that to me would be the biggest thing for Philly, as
and
opposed to trying to match up with guards.
if you're playing New York, you got to understand that RJ, Brunson, and Randall will all play 46 minutes.
To your point, Sam.
Playing 46 minutes.
To your point, Sam, about using Thibault as a way to negate RJ and any other wing Knicks would throw out. I think a couple days ago they played the Thunder, and since PJ Tucker has been injured, they played Thibault more, and he pretty much shut down SGA. SGA only had 14 points, and on poor shooting at that. SGA has been a monster this season,
Killing everybody.
Right. So if he can clamp down, I mean, clamp down is relative, but 14 points for SGA this year is clamped down.
That's
to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So if he can do the SGA, he can probably do it to, RJ. And again, it's not only him now. Like, I'm telling you, D'Anthony Melton probably is our best wing defender right now.
And he's shooting
balling.
lights out, right? I know he's
shooting well. Yeah.
Yeah.
George Niang is also shooting well.
I mean, but he won't be a playoff.
Yeah. He's not.
Won't be a playoff factor.
He's the 10th man in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Let me see. I was trying to see if we could find some. Where's
But
his defensive?
But
rating?
to be real with you, to put a cap
ahead,
on this, I don't think the Knicks should go after Zach Lavine. There's a bigger fish that I could see.
There we go.
Actually,
all right. So just go ahead and do it, because you teased it in the intro. You think the Knicks are kind of laying the groundwork or the foundation to get a potential top 5 player. I'm good. Go ahead and set the scene.
Okay, so AD has a stress fracture, right? Or a stress injury to his foot.
Hilarious.
The Lakers have no picks until 2027 and 2029, I believe, right? And they seem to not want to give up those picks, even though LeBron at age 38 is damn near looking unstoppable now, right?
Okay.
They have minimal assets. I mean, if you're telling me, if you're an opposing team and you're telling me that you only have Pat Bev and my boy, Lonnie Walker, and
Who's
Austin
played well,
who's played well, yes, that you only have those guys as assets, I'm gonna look at you and say hell no. You know what I'm saying? They have after this season they only have $36 million in cap space, which is basically, and they only have Braun and AD on the books. Correct. That's the only 2 people they have on the books with $36 million in cap space, right? This experiment, you could cut bait with this experiment and still be able to hold your head up high because you got a championship. You have
Lakers
one
fans
championship.
would not agree with that.
You have one championship. That's winning. People put on today's NBA fans and NBA community, they it's like people forget how hard it is to actually win a championship these days. They see people forming dynasties to win championships and think, oh, it's whole hunky dory. You could just walk to champion. No, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. But again, the Lakers have basically sold off their assets going forward. So why not take 4 first-round picks? Why not take Evan Fournier? Why not take Cam Reddish? Why not take a Mitchell Robinson for
Keep going.
AD?
I certainly hope there's more.
Do you want IQ?
Keep going.
Do you want Obi? Do you want an Obi Toppin?
That's what, four players? 4 players or 4 picks?
No, that's 4 players, 4 picks, baby. Come on,
so
4,
8
players.
I'm gonna let you finish, and then I'm gonna cook you.
You could get a first round pick until 2028.
Right.
You get everything that you sold off. You could get it right back and more, baby. Come on.
Okay, so
come on.
I have just one question, and it's a callback from earlier. You said Zach Lavine was not going to be a Knick because why?
No, I didn't say he wasn't going to be a Nick. I said that
Hmm?
Clutch, you might have some contrasting ideologies and basketball philosophies with Clutch and CAA, as we're seeing right now with Cam Reddish.
So you think that there's going to be more interference for a potential Zach Lavine deal for Clutch than for AD, who's arguably their second biggest client?
I believe that the Lakers, if you put a deal on the table that somebody cannot refuse,
Pelinka can refuse that.
he probably will refuse it because again, he's Rob
And Rich
Pelinka.
Paul damn sure will refuse that.
Why would Rich
The-
Paul? I mean, you're going from LA to New York.
It doesn't.
You're
AD doesn't want to be there. AD doesn't want to be in New York. He had the chance to come to New York. He could have went anywhere he wanted when the Pels were trying to get him out of there. He requested specifically to go to the Lakers.
Yes, because LeBron was there.
And it's LA.
But
yes,
the way that
Bron was a bonus, but it's also LA. And these dudes love being in LA.
But the way Bron has been dropping hints that he's probably done in LA.
He just signed an extension.
He signed an extension, but he's saying that he doesn't want to play for anything but championships, that this is not him.
And you interpreting that to mean he's going to leave LA?
That he's thinking about it.
No, that's
what's the perfect?
That's him telling Pelinka, do your job.
Wait, no.
Call Rich and figure it out and do your job.
What have we heard for the past season, almost season and a half now? Right, we've heard that LeBron / Clutch is responsible for the roster construction. Correct? Have we heard that? From the leaks from the organization, right? That Clutch is responsible, that LeBron is responsible for the roster, correct? Have we at least heard that?
The rumors have always been there.
Okay, so who you think is putting that out there? It can't be Clutch. It has to be the organization, right? So if Clutch has been wait,
in the organization.
Oh, Pelinka, Genie, pick one.
You
Rambus,
think
his wife? Pick one.
See
pick one
now you're getting closer.
One.
There's no way Pelinka and Genie are gonna mess up what they have rolling with LeBron and Clutch by leaking anything to Woj or whoever.
But Rambus and his wife are not going anywhere. That's a family business. They're considered family.
Sure.
So what's the best way for both parties to just, say, you know what? It worked. Let's just move.
No, but it didn't. It didn't work. It didn't work. You just laid out scenarios where there was fluke championships. There could be almost no flukier chip than the chip in the bubble.
You could say that.
And every other year has been Basura. It's either been no playoffs or AD fell down to win boom against Phoenix, even though they were up 2-1, and then they tricked that off.
Okay,
because LeBron's 37, 38 years old.
All right, so even more to my point then, if it has been all garbage, right, and that hasn't worked out, what can you do to move on amicably?
You just said they only have 36 million on the books next year. That means you can go get a max player once you go get
no. They have $36 million in cap, but only LeBron and AD are on the books for this year.
There's room for a max next year.
No. They're getting a max.
Yes.
They have their max. No, they have their max. They're the only two people signed through next year.
Yes.
They don't have no one else signed.
Yes.
Yeah, so they have
that means they can get a third player and then fill it in like they did in Miami. Have your three dudes and then everybody else is on minimums.
Like they did the year prior? Like the year prior where they had
okay.
Go
ahead also.
I'm saying
your trade was definitely Scamadandea esque because you offered up none of your best players. So let's be realistic with this
For a
trade,
top
even
5
though it's
player.
not going to happen. Would you offer up RJ starting off with the deal? It's Cam,
Quickly.
Grimes,
Oof. They love them some Grimes.
IQ, and the 4 picks for AD.
Yes.
Okay. So,
You would
all
have
right.
to. Yeah, he would
Yes.
have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
RJ would
Yes.
have to be part of that deal. There's no
Yes.
way you could do that deal
Yes.
without RJ.
I agree.
Yes. And to the people that are saying that AD always gets injured, well, AD always gets injured working with the LA training staff. Okay, that's the LA training staff's issue. He might not be injured working with New York's medical staff. I mean, come on. Obi Toppin just had like I think he had like some type of fracture in like his shin, and he's about to play, and I think he's playing tonight. Like, come on, not for nothing. You can say whatever you want about New York as an organization, and I'll probably agree with you, but the training staff, the medical team, is top notch. Come on now.
Why do they have to be top notch? No. Hang on. Why do they have to be top notch?
Because the players are going to play 46 minutes a night.
And out of all people in the world, out of all the people in the world, you want to bring in Anthony Davis to play 46 minutes a night for that meniscus tearing taskmaster?
No.
Is that what you're trying to do? Do you think AD's going to co-sign that? Out of all the places in the NBA, with my broken body that some people think he has, I'm going to go play for Tibbs when I'm on the back half of my prime?
We don't have to. We have Mitch. We have Julius. We have...
What, you going to play 30 minutes a night?
We have Jericho Sims. AD doesn't have to play the whole game.
Don't.
And if worse comes to worse, we could just probably, get rid of, I'm throwing it up there.
Here we go. Stir the pot.
I forgot, what's his name again? The meniscus tearing
Taskmaster.
Meniscus tearing taskmaster, Tom Thibodeau.
Okay. I
mean, going to get rid of him for AD? You going to promise AD he's gone?
Hey, man.
So
once AD comes to New York, we're on the clock, baby. We are on the clock.
No, but hang on. See, I don't understand any of this. I don't understand any of this. Because, and again, obviously, audience, all of this is alleged.
It's alleged hypotheticals. But I'm saying, though.
If the Knicks are a CAA hotbed, they're going to fire one of their main CAA clients to acquiesce a Clutch Sports client?
They're gone. But what I'm saying is what my rebuttal to that would be, you're acquiring all of these assets, all of these valuable assets and draft picks and play.
I'm talking about from the Knicks perspective.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm talking from the Knicks perspective. I'm talking
what assets are they gaining?
They're getting draft capital. You're getting good rotational pieces. You're hoarding all of these because you want to go for the home run, correct? You want to go for the top. You want to go for a top 5 player because you guys did say that Lavine is not the needle mover. So you want to go for a top 5 player that as soon as he comes here, you have to go for a championship automatically, right? That automatically makes you a contender.
Sure.
Why not go for AD? Why not go
it's
for
not a good fit.
What he played? We don't have.
It's not a good fit.
Okay. What about this?
He's just going to keep finding top 5 players and find their way to the.
Go
ahead, also. Hang on.
Before we go to the rant, is it more feasible and more realistic for the Knicks to target SGA?
Somebody gonna get him. I don't know if Presti wants what they.
To be perfectly honest with you, the way SGA is playing, I think it'll be a travesty if he's not in OKC. It'll be a complete travesty if he's not in OKC.
I mean, he's not gonna stay. He's not staying.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah.
But why wouldn't he stay? Like, where's this report coming from?
Well, no, I don't even think it's about will he stay. It's will Presti offer him the bag?
Right.
Because we know what type of time Presti's on.
I
Yeah,
understand,
exactly.
but how much? All right, I understand that, but how much time are you gonna hoard? Like
He's
how
been
much
doing it
time are
low
you
key
wait?
for like
How
half a
Forever.
decade. He's been
but
doing it for
how
half a
long?
Forever.
decade on the low.
That OKC team is one or two vet pieces away
Are you sure
from
about that?
actually doing something in the West.
But what this doing is the Presley's trying to win a chip. He wants that KD, Harden, Westbrook. He wants that. If he
So you're
doesn't think
gonna
he
wait.
has that,
So you're,
he's not gonna mortgage the future.
but bro, how long are we gonna give Sam Presti
If
this
he gets
leeway?
Vic, then I think he starts to be serious. If he gets Victor Wembanyama, I think that's when he turns the switch on and say, "All right, now it's time to win." 'Cause now I got Chet. Then I think he might even give SGA the bag. So I think the draft lottery will tell you everything. If they get Vic, then I think he tells SGA, "Look, we're going to have Vic, you, and Chet to go along with all our other pieces. Giddy
Yo, they just hung
Getting
150 on the
on the
Celtics without
Celtics. Yeah,
SGA.
blew them out. That's what I'm saying. Look, I'm not saying
Jalen
you're wrong.
Williams.
Jalen Williams, they got bodies there. The thing is that I don't know if they have a number one outside of SGA. Because who's the number two on that team? Because we haven't seen Chet yet. And then if they get
Giddy.
Victor, Giddy's a number two, like a legit number two for a good team. He's a number two by default. But is he a number two on a top three, top four seed team in the West?
No.
I don't know about that yet.
I would have never had thought Mikal Bridges was a number 3 or number 4, but crazier stuff has happened, man. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, why
Like
not? Wait, why
I
would
don't think
you think that?
I don't think SGA is leaving OKC, bro, because
Wait,
that'll
why
be a
wouldn't you
damn
think
trap.
Bridges?
Huh?
Why
I'm
wouldn't you
sorry.
think Bridges would be able to 3 or 4?
I didn't really think he was that. I knew he played good defense, but I didn't think his offense would be to this level. You know what I'm saying? Would be to that level, and I was wrong.
Score at Villanova.
Yeah,
And,
but I just didn't think it'll translate because
and plus
again, like his
you're
body frame, like I didn't
and
really.
plus go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't really think too high on him, but hey,
And you're also comparing someone's skill set to be a 2 to a 4. That's a pretty big drop. Like that, I don't think that's that fair
Yeah, but I'm
of a
saying though,
comparison.
you'll have SGA, Chet.
We don't know what Chet is, and we won't know whoever they get this year in the draft will be. So you're still at least two and a half, 3 seasons away.
So when it 2, 3, all right, I won't argue that. But
Because
like I said,
because Chet, they lost Chet, so we don't know what he is yet.
Okay.
Assuming they get Vic, now you have 2 skinny ass dudes that like to play on the perimeter to go along with SGA who likes to drive. They have no bigs. Giddy is a 2/3. They still got Dort. They got Williams. Like they got a lot of pieces that I don't know how they fit. Because I don't know how you're gonna make all these dudes hoop. How are all these dudes gonna hoop? They can all hoop individually. Like how does SGA play when he knows he's got to feed 2 other guys that need it? If he's got Chet and Vic on each wing, is he still gonna go for 40 pieces? He can't. If that team's trying to win, he can't go for 40 pieces. He's got to give up and maybe drop down to the low 20s.
If he is who we think he is, then he'll do it.
I'm not. I won't dispute that. What I'm saying is that I just don't know how all those pieces fit, and that's why I think if you're Presti, you're still trying to figure out if I'm going to invest in SGA, then I got to make sure all the other pieces are ready. And clearly Chet won't be ready next year. And even if they get Vic, I don't think Vic won't be ready to me to like legitimately contribute for at least 3 years because he's got to get the NBA diet and the strength and conditioning program. And then all the other pieces are going to be up for salaries too. Like Giddy's salary's coming up. You going to give him the bag while you're waiting?
I think they got it. I think they got enough cap space.
I mean, they haven't signed anyone, so they do. But I'm saying is, are you going to start to eat up that cap space when you don't even know if you have a defined number one?
But you got to get your core correct, though.
But
can we all agree that Giddy, SGA, Chet? Well, we don't know who Chet. Who's their rookie?
Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams.
And we didn't even talk about Poco.
Yeah, can we all agree that that's their core? So you should lock up your core.
They got like
correct?
6 dudes though.
Yeah.
You gonna lock up 6 dudes before you have a number one?
But you got 6 dudes, but you know SGA is the ones right now.
But how I'm saying when you have 5 other dudes that need to get the rock and you're the number one, are we now projecting SGA to be that good to where he could be a number one on a championship contending team? That's ultimately what Presti's trying to build. He's a number one for sure. I don't know if he's a number one on a championship contender. He's not a number one option right now. To me, he's not a number one option on a champion. He's a number one option on a playoff team, a play-in team. I don't know if he's a number one option on a team that could go get a chip right now.
Can I just remind both of you that the reason how we got here was we were talking about the Knicks.
And
the
Ab wants
potential
every
trade.
good player to be on the Knicks. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not done.
Right.
I got
That's how we
another
got here.
player. in
That's-
mind.
No. I have a list, sir.
No, I know you
This
do.
is not the
I know
Knicks
you do.
podcast.
But-
I have a list.
What's the show saying about fandom and the psychosis of fandom? What's it? how's it go?
Correct. Fandom is a mental illness, and you are listening to it by having Ab
No,
come
no,
on
no, no, no,
here
no, 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 no.
and give
You
us
know-
all these
you
different
know
fan
I don't.
scenarios.
I don't. You
Wait,
know
We've
I'm
had
not.
Zach
Wait,
Lavine. We've had Anthony Davis.
Wait,
now we
before
got
you go.
SGA. It just keeps going better.
No.
Why not Bron to the Knicks? Let's go.
Ab, before you go. I just want to talk about how the psychosis is so crazy, right? I'm asking both of you a question. Who is currently a half game out of first place in the East Conference? Who is that?
The Nets.
The Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Brooklyn.
Where are you from,
Brooklyn.
Ab?
Brooklyn.
We spent all this time talking about a team that's in the 5th spot
Right.
when the Nets are on the verge of taking the number 1 seed in the number 1 conference in the entire NBA,
Right.
and we haven't even mentioned the Nets yet. That's how the psychosis of sports works. That
Agreed.
you will overpass the clear better team to talk about the Knicks.
And to be clear, the Knicks are an 8th seed right now. So we did all of
Oh,
this
my bad.
talking about an 8th seed that's 20-18 when the Nets are 25-12. Like you said, half a game out of first. Ab, your thoughts?
About.
About the fact that you've come on here and you have told us every which way of how the Knicks can improve, but you're also a Nets fan and you haven't said one syllable about Jacques Vaughn, your man's Joe Harris, who you killed on this pod a couple of playoff seasons ago.
Well,
You
Jacques
haven't
Vaughn, too.
said
He was
word
not Jacques
one
Vaughn
about
either.
anything.
He was not a Jacques Vaughn believer.
Wow. So, all right. So, look, you also are a Net fan. I will give you the floor for about 90 seconds or so. Can you give me the state of the Brooklyn Nets from a Nets fan perspective? You've given us about an hour of the Knicks fan perspective. Can you give me 90 seconds of the Brooklyn Nets fan perspective? ISO.
The Brooklyn Nets are a Caruso away from an NBA championship.
Okay.
They are a. If you don't want to go Caruso, they are a Naz Reid away from an NBA championship.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
They are a Naz
Caruso, I was
Reid
like, all right, I could paint a
away from an NBA
picture.
championship.
Naz Reid?
They either need.
What does he do
Me
that
personally, I need-
Claxton don't?
No. You need Claxton. No. You need Claxton, but you only have a Claxton. You're playing Ben at the 5, which is not sustainable. Which to me is not sustainable. Come
I
playoff
like
time.
Ben
You
at the
need,
5.
but you need another big. So if you have Ben at the 5, you're gonna need another ball handler, right?
Okay, you have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
But bro, correct. But if you look, KD is gonna be double teamed. Kyrie might see some double team. You need someone that can handle the rock besides Ben. You need someone that can play against a Embiid, a Time Lord, a Horford, a Giannis, a Lopez.
They have no low post presence. There will be no low post presence.
Exactly. So
They built this roster knowing that.
Exactly. So Clax is 5 fouls away from not. He only has about 6 fouls.
Watanabe.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, hell no.
Watanabe.
Watanabe is a 1 through 4 guy. He is not a 5 guy.
I mean,
And
he's
he
got the
can't play against some
size.
4s. He can't play against some 4s. He cannot play against some 4s.
I mean, he's a stretch 4.
You need yourself
Markieff Morris? Morris twin? Morris twin.
No.
He's got size.
North.
You need
Facts.
you need yourself
Right.
a lanky or a bigger bodied 260
Dayron
pounds.
Sharp. He's on the bench right now. 6'11" from
He's not
UNC.
ready. He is not ready.
He's 6'11". It don't matter.
He's absolutely not ready for playoff
Sink
basketball.
Sink or swim.
He's not ready for playoff basketball.
Then dust him off now to get him ready.
He can't catch a basket.
He's got 6 fouls, right? He's got 6 fouls too. Okay.
He can't catch the defense. I like him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but if you're trying to win a chip, he can't have any playing time.
The Bulls won chips with Stacey King. The Bulls won chips with the late great Bison Dele.
But the Bulls.
The Warriors won a chip with Kevion Looney.
But
the Warriors won chips with and the Nets have Kevin Durant. The Nets have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
But they had Kevon Looney, but they had my man Bielika at least coming off the bench. They had a big coming off the bench.
And you have Watanabe 6'9".
Come on, man.
I don't understand what you're asking for.
Come on, bro.
You want a dude that's big that can shoot, right? You just brought up Bielita. Bielita wasn't thugging nobody in the paint.
Come on, bro.
Bielita was marinating in the corner. Watanabe can do that, and he got little handles. He got a little shimmy.
They need a big body that could grab at least 9 to 10 boards.
Morris twin.
No, Morris does not average 9. He's never been
in a big game. He can step up.
He's never been a 9 to 10 board type of guy. He's never been a double guy.
You just said 9 boards. So he doesn't need to do double. He can get 0 points and 9 rebounds.
They need someone that's at least 6'10", 240 to 260.
Sharp is 6'11", 265. He's already there. He's there.
Awesome young talent. Not ready.
Morris twin is 6'9", 245.
Could shoot. Awesome veteran.
TJ Warren's
a 3.
He could play 4 in a spot. He's 6'8".
He's coming off of a foot fracture. Let's not do that to him.
Yo, man, I don't understand, man. You got all the answers for the Knicks, but you can't find one for the Nets?
What do you want me to say?
Who's a big that the Nets can realistically go scoop up via trade or maybe even a buyout and bring into this roster? Melo?
Eric Boucher. I mean, they got Boucher from Toronto. Toronto got like 9.
Melo's working out.
Toronto has like about.
You seen him at Christ the King. He working out. He still got it.
Why are you doing this to Melo? Why are you doing this to the guy?
6'9", big body. We know he grab boards. You know Melo always grab boards.
I'm not taking a bait.
All right, okay. I'm just trying to help you out. The buyout market is going to be slim. I don't see a lot of dudes on that buyout. I don't know who you.
What about a Mike Muscala?
He could shoot.
A stretch 5.
Yeah.
A stretch 5. Kelly Olynyk could work. Kelly Olynyk could work.
You won't give Dayron Sharp or Morris twin a shot. You're going to bring in the goddamn Kelly Olynyk.
Because, again, we need someone.
I don't understand, man.
Need someone that could get at least.
All right. So, all right, let's finally tap into some of these topics. Enough with New York basketball. The Warriors, a lot was made of them coming off the chip and riding the high of coming off that chip, and we know what happened with the habitual nut hitter in Jordan Poole. They got off to a rocky start, then they got hot, then they got really down in the dumps, a horrible record on the road. Then Steph falls down, goes boom. I won't say trash-ass ankles, but close. Now, all of a sudden, the Warriors are hot without Steph, and they went from a team that was at the bottom of the West, hovered around there with the Rockets and the Spurs. Now they're in play-in territory. What have y'all two seen from the Warriors that makes y'all think? Well, one, two-part question. One, what have y'all seen from the Warriors besides Clay going crazy? And two, does this now give you a glimpse of, oh, okay, as soon as Steph comes back, the Warriors are going to be back to being the Warriors? I'll go with Oso first.
Yeah, 100%. I think Clay looking more like, game six Clay is definitely part of it. I think also Jordan Poole. I mean, Jordan Poole is, one of the sauciest guards in the NBA right now. So it's hard to not look past him anymore. I think that's taking a lot of pressure off of Draymond from scoring, and he can just focus on rebounding, playing defense, being a gritty player, hitting nuts, if you will.
Facts.
Um, and I think also too, Kaminga is getting a little bit more comfortable with himself. So I think the team is actually poised to make a run when Curry does come back. It kind of sucks because I think the East is clearly a better conference.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised if the Warriors pull off another one.
Ab.
So let's go. Let's rewind it back a little bit. What the Warriors are one of the weirdest teams I've seen during the NBA season because they're like what 14-2 at home and like 3-10 on the road. Like they're the best home team, but the worst
Right.
road team, right?
Right.
The beginning of the season, I thought that they probably overvalued their young pieces in Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman, I believe, because they got rid of they let Otto Porter walk, they let GP2 Mitten walk. Bielika is not even an NBA anymore, and
Right.
these are guys that contributed heavy minutes off the bench for them to get to win the championship last season. So I actually thought that they probably overvalued where their young uh, players were. But coming down this last stretch, I think they found gold in an Anthony Lamb. And I'm not saying Anthony Lamb is better than Kaminga or he's better than Moody, anybody like that. I'm just saying he fits really well with what the Warriors do. He's able to play defense. He is able to pass the ball, rebound, and pass the ball to Clay because that's the only thing you really need to do coming off the bench. But yeah, I think that definitely the Warriors when Steph comes back, the Warriors can make a run, but they really don't need to be honest with you, the way the West is right now, they don't need to be in the top 6 in the Western Conference to actually get to the finals.
Okay.
Even if they I think pretty much they could have they could be up 3, 4, 5 games above 500 for the rest of the way for the rest of the season, be in the play-in, and I think they could actually make history. Like that's how
First eight
much.
seed.
Yeah, that's how much I think the Warriors. I mean, because if we look at the West, I mean, we have a one-man show in Dallas, right?
And they
Who's
are the
the
four
fourth?
seed.
Exactly. They are the 4th seed right now. The Phoenix Suns are at an impasse right now. They don't know what to do. They don't know if they should tank or if they should just I don't know because they
No
can't.
way they're tanking.
Yeah, but they can't make a trade right now because Robert Sarver is the one that still has to
Correct.
sign off.
Sure.
So they're at an impasse right now.
I I think
Zion
sure,
is
go ahead.
hurt right now. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you said?
No, I was just gonna say I think if a legitimate trade came across the desk that they really wanted to make, whether through back channels or whatever, Adam Silver would not allow Robert Sarver to hold up a potential trade that can improve that team.
Okay, fair enough. Zion is injured again. They're saying that he probably be out for a month or more. They don't even know. They don't even know when Bi is coming back. There's no timetable on Bi. Uh, Denver's on top of the West right now, but Denver doesn't play any defense. Let's just you're not like there's a funny stat right now that for the past 20 years, NBA championships have been top 10 in offense and a top 10 in defense throughout the season. Denver is a top. I believe they're a top 10 offense, but they're not a top 10 defense right now. And it said that you have to be both in order to win the championship. Outside of two teams, the 2018 Warriors were 11th, and
Denver is 25th currently.
Yeah,
so yeah,
26 in defensive rating. Yeah.
yeah. And then the other team I was going to say was the 2002 LA Lakers. They don't have Kobe and Shaq. Was not on that team. So
Aaron Gordon and Joker though. No? Okay.
For what? For what?
Kobe and Shaq. Aaron Gordon and Joker.
All right, man. All right, man.
No, you said Joker. You meant Wilt then.
Right.
Wilt and Jerry West is what you meant.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, Ab, I mean, I think to your point about the Warriors, I think there is clearly they're dangerous because they have the Steph factor. I don't think they overestimated or overreached in playing their youngest. I think that was what they intended to do the whole time. I think there was no way they were going to bring back Otto Porter, Gary Payton, or any of those guys. I think you don't have the drafts where they had they've drafted 7 players by my count over the last 3 drafts, but more importantly, the last 2 drafts, they drafted 5 guys over the last 2 drafts that should be getting minutes. They've fallen into high-level players outside of the lottery over the last 2 years. And then if we throw in Weissman, that's another guy that they actually got in the lottery. So those guys are going to have to play at some point. I'd much rather throw Kuminga and Moody out there as opposed to overpaying to keep Gary Payton Jr. and your man's Otto Porter. So I expected them to get minutes, and I expected them to struggle once they got minutes because they're not used to getting minutes. So I think it was a lot of fluff and fanfare for nothing because this was going to be a transition period and adjustment period for the Warriors because they had to work in these young pieces. I think the issue is going to be once Steph comes back, these guys don't know how to play with Steph. They're getting all these minutes now, and they're logging heavy minutes with Clay, and they're learning how to play off Clay, off the habitual nut hitter, and even Wiggins when Wiggins is actually healthy. How is that going to change once you bring in the behemoth that is Steph, who the offense is completely looks different when he's on the floor? They're running a lot of motion stuff right now where everyone's touching it. Everyone's getting the rock. Everyone's able to put shots up. And then when Clay gets hot, then we force feed Clay. Once Steph comes back, we know where that ball going 9 times out of 10. So how is Moody going to be able to work off that? How is Kuminga going to be able to work off that? That's, to me, going to be the biggest thing in that second half of the season is when Steph eventually comes back, how the hell are these young role players going to adjust? But the West is wide open. So I agree with you that if they don't need to be a top seed because the West is wide open. But I think that transition period will be something to watch. Also?
No, I think, I think to your point, I can't foresee it being that crazy because Steph is a willing passer and a good passer at that. And I think is a team oriented ish ball hog, if that makes sense. So I don't think the gravity of who he is as a player should interrupt it as much. I think the key is Kerr going to be smart enough, unlike Doc, to keep it the way it is now, which is a motion offense, and not be so ISO driven and or baseline driven when Kerr arrives. But I feel like Kerr has been a pretty smart coach throughout the year, so I have faith in him.
Sure. All right. Well, I think that's something we'll definitely keep an eye on. I know something I definitely want to get into before we get into just the individual dominance of Giannis and Luka and Donovan Mitchell putting up a 71 piece. This Western Conference, do we believe in the Sacramento Kings? Are we lighting the beam? Because I thought they just had a weak schedule early on and just kind of beat teams and snuck up on teams. But now they're legitimate. Like they've played 36 games and they're still a 5 seed. And Sabonis is looking like an all-star. You have De'Aaron Fox, who's finally looking like the John Wall clone like we thought he was going to be all them years ago. And even though they got rid of Halliburton, they have enough pieces there. Harrison Barnes is still there, and he's still getting run, putting numbers up in this wide open Western Conference where we're not sure about Kawhi. When Kawhi plays, the Clippers look great, but we don't know how often Kawhi is going to play. Portland, Dame is in and out of the lineup, and he still has to gel with Jeremy Grant. Like there's almost a question mark for every single team that is 1 through 10 in this Western Conference. So Sacramento and the Kings, have you guys seen anything? Do you guys think they're serious? Are they going to have a second half swoon? Ab, I'll go to you first. The Kings of Sacramento lighting the beam, for real or nah?
I think it's for real. I mean, that team is well constructed. I mean, you have a defense, you have bigs, you have wings that could shoot most nights, and then again, Sabonis and Swipers is playing like a couple of all stars right now. Plus, they got a defensive minded head coach and Mike Brown that just came off of winning a championship, so he knows exactly how to win. And again, the West is wide open, so I expect them to keep doing what they're doing. Most
Also,
definitely.
So I don't believe that they're real.
okay,
And here's
let's
why.
go. Let's go.
Here's why. I like him. I'm not saying I dislike him. I'm not a De'Aaron Fox guy. I think he's
Mm,
a good player. So there's no hate. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. And Sabonis is again a good player, not a great player. So there's no real one on that squad. And then again, their current standing is not in a vacuum. Their current standing is that way because the West is weak. It just is. The East
facts.
has all the power right now. So that's why you have OKC, playing well. I mean, they're good too, but I'm just saying, like, they look better than they are because the West is so weak, because LA is not even a factor in reality as they should, as everyone ever thought they were going to be. So I think they are a solid team, but I don't think they're going to make any waves come playoff time. No.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to row with you. Also, I think there's as much as Mike Brown has done good things there, and they have a decent little core there. I just it's hard for me to fathom that the key to them is just getting a respectable coach. And even though they're better defensively, they're still in the bottom half of the league in defensive rating. It's I part of it feels like smoke and mirrors to me right now. I still kind of want to see more, even though it's definitely a good enough sample size to say, nah, they're actually good. But it's just something about once I think you get stars back, once New Orleans gets their stars back, once Dame can actually play for an extended period of time and gel with his team, once Steph comes back. I don't know what you guys think of the Timberwolves and that monstrosity, but on paper they should be better than the Kings. Like there's teams that should be better than the Sacramento Kings right now. So I'm going to give it a. I mean, we could talk about the point fraud and the Suns. Like there's enough teams behind them that I think are clearly better than them. So I'm just going to fall back and just like I think the second half will just let that play out. And there's just a natural progression of just more talent on those other teams as opposed to the Kings will switch the standings up. But it's something where I got to give them their props because I mean the Kings haven't been relevant in the last decade plus. So the fact that they're even the fifth seed at this point in the season is a victory upon itself.
Well, there was a report that I like kindly like scrolled by today saying something to the effect of like I think somebody went to dinner with someone from the opposing coaching staff. One of the Kings coaches went to dinner with the coach from the opposing team and was like, "Yeah, man, like the refs already told us like they're gonna call certain calls against you guys."
Against the
So I don't
Kings.
know against the Kings, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I think some of that some of that backlash from like the early referee scandal is probably still lingering out there. So they probably won't get the calls like they're supposed to get. I mean, we just saw Mike Brown get ejected the other night, so
Right.
that's something just to keep in the back, keep in the
Okay.
back pocket.
So I definitely wanted to have you guys on because there's been so much highlight moments so far in the season, from Zion going crazy, from Tatum going crazy, as also mentioned in the intro. But lately, Giannis, who went crazy again last night, he put up a double nickel last night, and then you have Donovan the night before with 71, and then we had Luca with the 60, 20, and whatever, like putting up Wilt like numbers. Walk me through if one of those stood out more than the other, or just the overall individual dominance of what we've seen so far in this first half. Like, ISO ball is a thing. ISO ball has returned as much as the Warriors, fascinated us with their motion offense and the threes and bunches. Sometimes you just got to clear it out, do 1-4 flat, give it to your guy, and just let him truck people. So I'll go to Oso first. Between, I mean, if you want to put Embiid in there, we could do that too. But in terms of Giannis, Luca, and Donovan, like, talk about those individual performances.
So to my earlier point, I think it's funny that Embiid is scoring 33 points a game like it's nothing, and like he's not even in the discussion,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not even like a new thing. That's just like a generic. That's where we are now. Like he's got to the place where that's so light for him that no one considers that to be a great feat anymore. Which I think is a compliment to him. But to your point, let me ask you this question, and I'll answer. But I just want to ask this question first, though.
Mm-hmm.
You have someone like Jared Goff in the NFL who's putting up 3,000 yards, 4,000 yards, whatever it may be, but no one considers him to be a great quarterback. Has the NBA gotten to the point where the NFL has been, where the rule changes and the game change or game style of play has led to? I think this is the first time we've had 4 or 5 players scoring over 30 points in league history or something like that, right? Is that true?
Yes, I think that was the stat. Yeah.
Right. So it is 30 points a game what 30 points a game used to be when Mike was doing it, when Wilt was doing it, is the same thing. And
Mm-hmm.
if not, then I think that to me is more of the discussion than their dominance, because if that's the case, then it feels a little watered down. Um, and not to be on some hate Luca level, because I'm not hating,
I
but I
am.
feel like some of the huh.
I am.
But I feel like some of the Luca love is a little misplaced because you know
Yeah.
he he is. I asked the question last night to a group of people, and I asked this question: does Luca make his teammates better? And
Nope.
I don't know if I can say that with any confidence that he does. I think he can score right at a high
Yes.
clip, no doubt.
Yep.
I think he is a good passer. I'm not saying he can't pass. I think he has good vision. Not saying that either. But I don't know if the plays that he makes on the floor consistently night in, night out are making his players better. And I think that his style of play leads to people thinking he doesn't have help as opposed to him actually having help.
Let
Ab.
me let me let me get at that one.
Go ahead.
Let me just preface this by saying I still got PTSD from that 60-point triple double that Luca put on the next other night. Let me just say that.
What was it? Not 9 points in
It
how
was
many
like
seconds?
9 points in like
30, 13
30
seconds or
30
something?
some
30 something
seconds.
seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um it was coaching, by the way. That we lost because of coaching. But
Meniscus tearing taskmaster.
um I just want to preface this by saying that, but I just want to say, right, Luca's getting a whole lot of praise for what James Harden got killed for.
Talk about it.
I'm just saying, when James Harden, from I believe 2014 to about 2018, 19 ish, was a guy that could anytime he stepped on the floor, he was able to give you 40 points, 11 boards, and then like probably like 12 assists any night, right? Heavy on the uses, heavy uses rating, right? It's coming down to, they was basically playing 1-4 flat every play, right? Got people saying, "Oh, this type of play is unsustainable. You can't win like this. Oh, he's a ball hog. He's stat padding. How do they expect to win like that?" Every Mavs game, and I like Luca. Don't get me wrong. I like Luka. I think his praise is well deserved. But every game is Luka bringing the ball up the court. If he can't get his, he'll pass it off to a 3-point because that's who they surround him with. Purely 3-point shooters. They play a 1-4 flat almost every play. Pass it off to somebody, and they'll hit the three or they'll break. So I'm just saying, man, it's a whole lot of double standards being thrown out there, and I'll leave it at that.
I mean, I'm certainly not mad at that. I mean, that's something I've been preaching on this pod for a minute. Like I call them Slovenian Harden because like you mentioned, like the usage rate. There's no other higher usage rate. And the only usage rate higher than Luka, and of course we don't have Wilt stats because usage rate wasn't a thing back then. But in terms of current modern day NBA, the only person with a higher usage rate than what Luka is putting up is James Harden. It's literally the only one. Like Harden had the highest usage rate ever, 40.9, I believe it was, and Luka is routinely at 38. Not even Steph, not even Wardell is touching 38. So he clearly just is ball dominant. He doesn't help guys. And when you come in there, I mean, there's a reason why Jalen Brunson bounced and came to the Knicks. It's not just because of the 100 mil. He can't play with Luka. A lot of dudes that need to get the rock to get their shots off, they can't play with Luka because they don't get the rock. Porzingis looked washed. Yeah, Porzingis, Latvian World Star, looked washed. People were saying he should be done and be out the league. Now he's killing in Washington. He could be a borderline all-star.
He can not a borderline. He can be an all-star reserve this year.
Well, we got to ask your man's Wally Zerbiak first. Let's be clear. We got to ask your man's Wally first. But
Wally would be the guy.
I mean, KP certainly looks the part to Wally.
He would.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, I'm saying Wally would be the guy that you would go to get that type of info.
But I think the one thing to answer Oso's question, I think 30 is the new 25. Where it's like if you could drop 25 in the 90s, I think that's like 30 today. But I think the next evolution will 35 be the new 30? Because I don't see defense ever coming back. I mean, clearly they're not going to change any rules. I mean, if anything, that might make it even easier to score, 10 years from now. So, as the shooting gets better, as the players get bigger, stronger, faster, all of that, and the fundamentals are taught earlier and earlier, I think, the league average to shoot threes is now 35%. That's league average now. How's that going to look in a decade? It's going to be 40%. Dudes going to be shooting 40% from three, and that includes dudes that are like Victor Wembanyama, 7 foot plus. So yeah, I think it definitely is a watered down version in terms of scoring. And I think that will skew stats. And I think that's why some of these records that are being put up, like, no offense to Bron, but I'm not really looking at that Kareem record like that's that big of an achievement. Like, if you stick around long enough and you keep taking all the shots, even when AD is healthy, then yeah, you're going to break Kareem's record. So, certain things just don't register anymore because it's so much easier to score. Kareem put up all them points with no three, not a one. He doesn't have the ball in his hands. Kareem had nowhere near the usage rate like a LeBron. Kareem wasn't running the fast break, dolo and just going for self. Like, he needed someone to give him the ball every single time so he could get his shot off. So, as much as LeBron is impressive in the numbers he's putting up, the Lou Alcindor, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number is still a more impressive number to me. So yeah, the statistics today are definitely still watered down.
Facts.
So what does this mean in regards to Luka? Clearly they want to give him the MVP at some point. Clearly he is going to win an MVP. If Giannis keeps doing what he did last night, if we have performances like Donovan Mitchell, we've had other fantastic performances from Zion and even Dame before he got hurt, and we know Wardell's going to come back and do Wardell things. And like I also mentioned in the intro, Tatum is still that dude. And then we have Embiid. So what narrative needs to happen, or what needs to take place for a justifiable awarding of Luka Doncic an MVP. Like, I don't know what more he needs to do. I don't think he could do any more than what he's doing, but I don't think this is enough to get an
I
MVP.
think
But
if they stay at the 4 seed, he's a lock to win.
a lock.
It's gonna be between him and Jokic.
If the
Superior
Nuggets
and
is still the 1 seed, Jokic is getting that. If they
Right.
somehow hang on to the 1 seed, I think Jokic is getting that.
Which, if they hang on to the 1 seed, which is more than attainable at this point.
I guess.
Which, by the way, it's hilarious that seeds matter now this season, but
Right.
seeds didn't
Talk
matter
about it.
last season when they were the
Correct.
6th seed. So
Right.
it's so funny how like picky they or fickle they are when it comes to criteria for MVP these days. The MVP, it's like, oh well, one player, Jamal Murray's not playing, and Porter Jr. is not playing, so that means something. But then when I tell you Maxey, Harden, and Embiid have only played 7 total games together, no one mentions that now.
Right.
When record mattered, when Embiid had the 1 seed, all of a sudden the 6 seed was more important than the 1 seed. So I give up, honestly. Like they've watered down the MVP trophy to the point now where I don't think it even has the same value as it did before, honestly.
Nah,
I mean, you can see
there's
that.
certainly
You can
to
see
that.
that by them renaming it to the Michael Jordan Award. Why would you rename something
I mean,
this late in the game?
Go ahead,
a lot of
Sam. No, I see
MVPs,
him. Go ahead,
though.
take the shot. Take the shot,
It's a
Sam.
lot
Go
of
ahead.
MVPs, though, dog. I mean, if you were to rename it for someone, I mean, it should go to the guy who's won it 5 times.
No, I'm saying, why would you rename an award? Like, the MVP award's name is the
Mhm.
most valuable player award, right?
Right.
You've had people try to illegitimize the MVP award, saying that, hey, this dude really, like, this guy. Now, my theory is that they renamed it the Michael Jordan Award because they really want either Luka or Jokic to win it. More so that they're using Jordan's name as a validation. Not so far as to reward him, as to reward Mike with the naming, but to more
Mhm.
validate their goalpost moving.
I
Wait, validate whom?
mean,
Jokic or Luka? Or both?
Either one,
Yeah.
either one. Because that's who. Because if we're being honest, that's who's going to win it. And I'm not saying that's because of they're the best or they're on the best team, not like that. But we know how these blue checks do. They'll find a
Tatum is
way.
Tatum is
They'll
currently
find a way.
4th in the league. Tatum is currently 4th in the league in scoring on the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference.
right.
How is he not ahead of those 2 players?
Analytics.
Well, and I will say, I think the only
Analytics,
argument, Tatum clearly has gotten better, but I think because the Celtics have, over the last few years, always been around the top of the East, it doesn't look like they're actually better. Even though he clearly is better, does it make his team that much better if they're still, I mean, weren't they, I don't think they were number 1 seed last year, but they were around the number 1 seed. No, wait, they were, because the Nets were what seed
Yeah.
last year?
They were seventh.
That was 7th. So Boston was a 2
They
seed.
were
Okay, so
second,
yeah, so
yeah.
they've been hovering around that top seed for the last couple of years. So I think that's where do you, even though Tatum's gotten better, how has that made the Celtics actually better? Going from a 2 to a 1, I don't, in the voters' eyes, to us, we know they're better because he's gotten better.
Let me preface in case anyone from 215 hears this. This is in no way defense of anything Celtics. Just be clear.
Okay, right.
That's a no where
That's-
I'm from.
That's an important
That
disclaimer. Yep.
That said, my argument or my rebuttal to that question or comment is the East is significantly better than it was last year. Cleveland is legit. Like
Right.
they're a for real team. And they're not even talked about at all. Milwaukee, Boston, Philly, the Nets might be the best out of all of them.
Facts.
The East is stacked. So to have the number 1 seed at this point is, I think, a bigger accomplishment than being a 2 seed last year.
And I think that there is something to that. Like I'm not poo-pooing the point, I think to us that makes sense. I don't know how blue check boys and girls co-sign that one.
Well, right.
But we know how. I mean, we don't validate them here anyway. But it's just a matter of our awards are more realistic than what they would give out. I think if we're putting people in the MVP conversation, clearly the names we've mentioned are there. Like Embiid is there, Tatum is there, Luka's there, Giannis is there, Joker is there, and that's about it. So it's really going to be the second half of the season will really show us who's going to separate themselves from the pack, if they even can. Because the Celtics have been low-key not that good over the last couple of weeks, and there's been some questions about the coach. And after that loss last night to the Thunder, there was talk about the lack of effort and all of that. So if the Celtics fall back a couple of spots and hit into that 3-4 range, and Giannis is still out here putting up double nickels, we got to talk about Giannis. Like, as great as Joker has been, like, and there might be some voter fatigue in trying to give another MVP to Joker, that might have been how Joker got those awards, because of voter fatigue for Giannis. But if he's putting up numbers like this, and they're doing this without Middleton, and they're still able to be a top 2 seed in the East that you just said is improved, and I agree. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and give it to the Nigerian freak.
Well, here's my question to you, though. Why are we consistently overlooking KD?
Because KD's greatness gets taken for granted.
Because in that scenario, the Nets probably be the number 1 seed in that scenario. If Celtics take a stumble down, that will vault Milwaukee back up to the 2 spot. But KD's still number 1, and he's averaging 29 points a game. Like,
right?
I heard
he's playing nuts.
Well, Tim Bontemps said,
"Oof,
blues the blue checks."
He said that because of the drama during the off season, that voters might hold that against KD.
I think you can drop the mic from that. I don't see a scenario where he gets enough votes. Even if all the nonsense didn't happen this summer, I don't think KD would get enough votes.
And quiet as kept, the 66th best player in the league, according to the Ringer, Kyrie Irving, is playing like a top 10 player so far.
Yeah, we don't acknowledge the Ringer here, so I mean they have no basketball credence or credibility.
But what I'm saying is he might not even be an All-Star reserve, and that's something to keep your eye on.
I mean, I'm sure Kyrie will find a way to spend some time if he doesn't make it to the All-Star game. I'm sure he got some movies he could catch up on.
But it's but technically he's in a contract year, even though I think he'll re-sign with the Nets. But that, I mean, you got to figure that does factor in. You know what I'm saying? He's shooting 50-40-90 this season, too. By the way,
but I don't think KD gets MVP consideration because I don't think he's no longer a two-way player. To me,
no.
He's playing good defense, but we're used to him playing elite, like.
No, it is elite.
Top tier.
No. KD and Claxton have the most points, field goal percentage, have the best field goal percentage when guarding the opposing player so far in this season. They're number 1 and number 2.
All right, I'm not going
that elite defense.
I'm not going that route. But here's what I will say though: KD currently has a better defensive rating than Jokic.
Oh, that I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. I would hope that. Like, I would be upset if that wasn't the case. Yeah, no, I think the main thing for me when it comes to KD is that because of the whole Kyrie stuff, him in and out, he's had to shoulder so much of the offensive workload. The games I was like really locked in on, he was just taking so much of the offensive like toll. Like the fatigue was definitely there. Now that Kyrie's been back, no issues, he's been able to acquiesce a little bit and kind of get back into looking more like, KD that's still relatively in his prime, albeit on the back half. Now we're getting a slightly better, more efficient KD as opposed to early in the season where for them to just be in games, he had to put up 25 shots. No matter how tough the shots were, no matter how many dudes were hanging off of him, he had to get those shots up because that's the only way for them to stay in the game. So I'll pay more attention here, but I think because of what he had to do early in the season in terms of shouldering that offensive workload, why Kyrie had to go through all that stuff. I think that's to me is what they will hold against KD because the team was not playing well. Now they're playing well because they're healthy. They got all the guys. So he doesn't even have to play at a quote MVP level for them to be worth a damn because he's got all the guys that he was intending on playing with in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think. Are we also? This is a dark horse, but are we also ignoring Donovan in this discussion as well?
ignoring no, I just think there's too many bodies in front of him. Pause.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't know who does he leapfrog. I mean, to me, he leapfrogs Joker, but I don't know who else he leapfrogs. I don't. Does he leapfrog Luca?
I I mean, listen, 70 points can boost your average real quick. So
Facts. Yeah.
a couple
Word.
more,
Word.
outbursts, you know.
But the Luca sympathizers will say, look at all the help look at all the help Donovan has in comparison to Luca.
Oh
I mean, he's
yeah,
got
night and day.
Mobley, he's got Garland, he's got Jared Allen, he's got Karis LeVert, not Gerald LeVert, Karis LeVert, and then it's basically Luca and the Pips in Dallas.
Well,
Well,
you know what? I don't want it to be just Luca, like just poo like to blame Luca for what's going on in Dallas, because that front office is not that good anyway.
I
Honestly,
mean,
like to bring it back to Jalen Brunson before
mhm.
at the beginning of the last season, I believe there was a story out that he was willing to sign for 56 mil a year, but they wanted to play coy and wait till the season and let's just focus on basketball. And he ended up signing for like a buck 10, a buck 20. I mean a buck 20. So that's not, you know, I know Luca. I know they play on the court, but still, you got to put the players on the court, and like that front office is not
Well, didn't they do
not
that? I
what it
mean,
is.
every year they've tried to add pieces to help him. No,
yeah. Thank you. That's my thank you.
every
Can I
offseason
can I say that 1 second?
they traded
But
for
let me build
Porzingis,
off of.
they traded for Dinwiddie, they unearthed Jalen
Thank you.
Brunson.
Thank you.
They've tried to
Listen,
give him
man.
help.
If
Listen.
you're looking at
And he's
Spencer
run
Dinwiddie
off
as
all of them except Dinwiddie. And I think when
But
Dinwiddie's contract is up, he's gonna run away too. Like,
Ab and I had to sit through 3 hours of a senior NBA insider for a certain network
ugh,
go on and on about how MJ had Scotty, how Magic had Kareem,
disgusting.
and how Luca is probably better than all of them because he's doing it with nobody.
Ugh,
Listen, I'm not saying that anybody on the past or current Dallas roster is Pippen or Kareem, right? I'm not saying that,
right.
but to suggest and put this narrative that he's had no help. Porzingis was giving him 20 and 10. When has
Yeah.
20 and 10 been a bad thing? When was this? What world was this?
Only
Brunson
playing
was
with
giving
Luca,
him
yeah.
only playing with Luca, right? Last time I checked, Brunson had a good year last year. Last time
Mm-hmm.
I checked, Dinwiddie's a legitimate NBA guard. Last time I checked, Tim Hardaway. What's his
Tim
son's name? Oh
Tim
yeah, Tim.
Hardaway
There we go.
Jr. Yeah, Tim Hardaway
There we
Jr.
go. I got it. Hardaway is a good player. They have other good players on that squad, man. Like the idea that and I think this is my pushback on Luca. It's the and I hate to sound like a hater, but I'm not hating. The manufacture part of it pushes me away. It's similar to how they pushed and manufactured Drake early on. If you're
Mm,
talented, your talent is going to shine through in the end. I don't need you to manufacture it and then force it down my throat. Pause to make sure that your guy gets his props early on. Luka's a good player. I'm not. There's no hate. Luka's a really good player. Pace right now he's on. He's probably going to be a Hall of Fame player.
for
Again, no
sure.
hate, right? No hate. But they're doing too much. They're clearly angling for him to be MVP already. They were angling for that, if you remember, 2 years ago.
Yep. Yep.
They were angling 2 years ago. So it's like, all right, man, listen, it's too much outside noise that's forcing me to look at it with a more crucial eye about how critical eye on how he's playing, and more importantly, how he's making his teammates better. So if the narrative would change a little bit, and the blue check boys didn't break their necks again, we sat for 3 hours, Sam, 3 hours
I don't
of
miss
this
that.
man going on a Luka tirade.
Yeah,
Well, no, and it was your favorite NBA
of
senior
course.
insider
Yeah,
from a
yeah.
certain network,
He's righter than everybody.
who is the hack of hacks when it comes to basketball.
Facts.
And I think that the blue check boys make me not like Luca, and it's not Luca's fault. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think to your point, everything you laid out there is accurate. And, I ain't even bring up Christian Wood. They brought in Christian Wood this year,
Right.
and he wasn't even starting early in the year. So, I mean, I don't know what more. Every single year they have tried to bring somebody in to be that second guy, or at least to be a impactful rotational player around Luka Doncic, and it just hasn't worked. When you go through Jalen Brunson, who was unearthed 2 years ago, no one was even checking for Jalen Brunson. They found a way to get him in there and let him go cook. And Kristaps Porzingis, the Latvian world star, they had him come in, and then he found a way to go cook. And now Christian Wood has found a way to go cook. The common denominator is they all cook when Luka's not on the floor. All those
Mm-hmm.
guys, you look at their splits go crazy. The minute is just them on the floor and Luka's not there. Jalen Brunson was cooking in the playoffs. Why? Because Luka wasn't on the floor. They had to stagger their minutes. Latvian world star, the whole time he was there, the only time he cooked was when Luka was hurt or was load managing. His numbers went through the roof. So is that really the front office, or is just the common denominator is this dude has the second highest ever usage rate ever, and no one could play with him, just like no one could play with the beard in Houston unless you just marinate in the corner like PJ Tucker and take corner threes. So is it the front office, or is it you have a dude that is very hard to play with if you have similar skill sets to him?
And to your point, they just had an article come out today saying that if they can't re-sign Wood, they're going to trade him this year.
So another guy gone. So then
Right.
who's the second guy at that point? Because it ain't Dinwiddie.
No,
Ab?
not Finney Smith. Not Finney Smith either.
Definitely not Finney Smith.
Listen, man.
Maybe
And I
Josh
like
Green.
Dinwiddie. I like Dinwiddie, and I like Tim Hardaway Jr. I like them as players, but if they're the second option on your team, you're not getting anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
Kemba?
I mean, the GM actually said Kemba. The GM said Kemba's knees were done. I'm not. It's not me. I'm quoting the GM. So
I mean,
he
his
says
knees were
Kemba's
done,
knees will never ever be the same again. Probably.
and
You know what I'm
that
saying?
didn't stop your Knicks from signing him.
Mm.
And he's currently on the Dallas Mavericks roster. So, I mean,
But you're acting like I said the Knicks front office were like superior and like smart.
you,
Like
you said the medical staff is.
the medical staff, definitely.
They couldn't fix Kemba's knees.
I mean, no one can fix Kemba's knees. That's like you're gonna need to go to like Haiti and find some witch doctor
Germany?
because not even Germany. That
He
that
can't
is
get
like
the
some
Kobe surgery? Oh, okay.
no, that's like some Louisiana bio
How
Nigerian.
on earth did you find a way to get a Kobe diss in on this
What?
podcast?
What happened?
How
What?
did you find a way to get a
Nah, I
Kobe
love
diss
Kobe.
in?
Everyone loves Kobe, right? Love Kobe. Love Bean. Love Mamba. R.I.P. Him and Gigi.
Wow.
Podcast is
But
diabolical.
nah, I'm just all I'm saying
Listen,
is
if
Kemba.
I'm if
Uh-huh.
I'm if I'm the front office for Dallas, I am praying that either the Bulls or the Toronto says, you know what, I'm just going to punt this season. Let me get as much assets as I possibly can. and be
Zach
prepared
Lavine
for
can't
next
play
year.
with Luka.
I'm not talking about Zach.
Vooch?
Not talking about Vooch.
Who?
Caruso, you still on that Caruso wave? Lonzo?
I'm talking about DeMar.
He definitely can't play with. You talk.
I'm talking about DeMar.
Yo.
You get if you manage to get DeMar
How many
in there,
basketballs
probably.
on the court? How many?
There's only one. There's only one.
Not if DeMar and Luka on the same team.
Pascal and Luca.
That one is more feasible because Siakam don't mind playing in the paint being dirty. He don't mind getting dirty, getting his numbers that way. But we said the same thing about Porzingis. He didn't mind playing dirty and playing big in the paint. Christian Wood could do that. All these guys could do that. They just don't do it when Luka's on the floor.
Christian Wood has to decide when he plays defense.
Well, he has to. No,
he has to. Christian Wood, come on, bro. No. That's I like Christian Wood.
No,
but his defense.
You're running out there,
IQ
Dwight Powell. I don't want to hear nothing about you need to prioritize defense. You're running out there, Dwight Powell. Stop.
Christian Wood currently has a better defense.
Again. Yeah. I didn't say that the front office is like they're doing that. Like again, I don't have.
You said it's their fault.
It is, and look what you said, Dwight Powell. I don't know if Dwight Powell doesn't play any defense.
And he's getting more run than Christian Wood.
Christian Wood is starting. He's been starting.
Now he just starting.
Bro.
No, he wasn't. I've been tracking this. Trust.
But
he started 10 games.
Yeah, because Christian Wood's been in Jason Kidd's doghouse, and Jason Kidd is not a good coach.
Ab.
He'll have 1 year. Wait, hold on, Sean. He'll have 1 year where it's like, oh my God, he got us here, he got us there. Then the next couple of years, it'd be like, damn, dog, for real.
Christian Wood has never been known for his defense. He's a bucket. So you went and signed him for a reason. You signed him to get buckets.
Also, just to know about defense.
Yeah,
Christian Wood has a better defensive rating than Jokic.
I mean, I think the three of us, the three of us on this Ecamm live room have a better defensive rating than Jokic.
I'm just saying.
I probably have a better defensive rating than Jokic just sitting down.
I mean,
if you were 6'11", yeah.
And a different complexion, but I mean,
Facts. So I'm just trying to understand here, Ab, because I think I want to believe you, but I just don't. There's no evidence. There's no evidence.
I'm not throwing Bell for Luka. I think it's 50-50. I mean,
it sounds like it.
No, it's 50-50. You can't. The way Luka's playing, you cannot play like that and expect to win in the NBA. You can't. You just can't.
So is it really 50-50? How can it be? How can it be equal parts front office when the main component there won't change his game?
But you got to coach.
I could bring in Michael Jordan. If Luka's not passing the ball, it don't matter.
You have to.
I would argue it's worse than that he won't change his game. I would argue that he can't change his game.
Yeah, he's been hooping. He's been playing like this since he was 16.
Right, and I think he would in a role playing the way he should play. I'm not sure he's the star the way everyone thinks he would be.
Yeah, he can't play like this and be. They will never. And if I'm proven wrong, I will keep this clip. They will never win a championship with him playing like this. Never. He will never win a championship like this. There's no. Yeah, because you can't have another guy good enough to play alongside of him.
Right.
And I wonder, as I try to pivot here a little bit, we're trying to figure out who's next up. There's a lot of talk of who's next. Some people think it's Ja. Some people think it might be Victor Wembanyama once he steps foot in the league. KD can't stop talking about how he's going to take over the league. Is there a young player you guys have watched this season so far that makes you think they can either be a dark horse in that next up conversation? Because, I mean, you could even throw Zion in there if you want, because we haven't really seen a lot of him. So, he could qualify for this conversation. But is there someone you've seen this year where you're like, oh, like that person's gotten better, and if he keeps trending on that trajectory, they could be a problem. They could be next up. I'll go to Oso first.
So to keep it in line with the past podcasts, a former podcast loved player who has blossomed this season, Tyler Halliburton.
Let's go.
He
Let's go.
he's real deal. He's real deal Holyfield. It's not a lot of it's not a flash, not a lot of pomp and circumstance, but he's real. He's a real deal, top notch. Maybe not top 10. He's not top 10 yet, right?
No.
But you
Top
if
10
you tell
point
me he
guard for
stays,
sure.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. But I'm saying if you told me he stayed on this path, maybe in a season or two beyond this,
Mm-hmm.
I can't see why he wouldn't be a top 10 player. I don't know why I would believe that he couldn't be. So if you're telling me he's a what? He's 24, 23? How old is he?
Let's see. I'm on his page now. 22 years old. He's about to be 23.
Right. So you're
23
telling
next
me
month.
at 24, there's a really good chance he's going to be a top 10 player. I mean, that's up next to me, as far as I'm concerned.
I like it. Tyrese Halliburton of the Indiana Pacers. Ab, what's up?
Let me just put this out there. We might from here on out, we might just be debating who's the best player amongst at least 5-7 guys going forward in this league.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
But one guy I have an eye on that I think is going to be the one. If anybody's going to be the one, he probably might be the one. Paolo Banchero. And I know it's early. It's his first season.
He gets buckets.
But he is the real deal. And if I'm Orlando, I'm on the clock next season. I'm getting me a vet point, a vet wing to let's go make this run, because if you look at Orlando has a lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
Too much.
They have
a lot of talent.
And they have all of their draft capital. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Come on, man.
Speaking of which, can we just give another former podcast shout out? Bol emerging as one of the best players
Facts.
in the NBA.
Yeah, he's cooking. I wish Mo Bamba would step up too, but no, Bol is definitely stepping up this year.
Y'all talking about Vic? We probably have a Vic.
Baby Vic and Bol.
Maybe Vic, man. Maybe Vic.
I think Bol's a grown-ass Bol, man. Bol's out here running point.
Yeah, I think. Look, I've said it here on the pod. I think that might be the position for Vic. Put him at the one or the two. I put him at the two, easy.
Well, the reason why I say two is if you remember KD's first year, KD played two his first year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, in Seattle. Yep. Yeah, so I think he's too frail to be down low. You can't put him down low. Can't do it.
No.
But I'm looking at this Orlando roster.
Yo, man.
It's a lot of names here. I just don't know. It's a lot of names. Man. Paolo for sure is the best player on this team, for sure.
They could get one or two vets. Bring in one or two
Jalen
vets.
Suggs.
You know who looked nice on the team is a steadying veteran player who could help them out a lot.
See,
Tobias Harris.
Any way to get rid of Toby. Also,
no, I love Tobias. No, man, I love Tobias. I'm just saying, give us Fultz back and throw in Bol, and we good.
What about Suggs? Take Suggs, right?
We're not giving up Suggs.
I mean, they got a lot of guards. They all can't stay. And plus, your man's Isaac is coming back at some point. Jonathan Isaac will be hooping again. They got a lot of bodies. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. They need a wing. Get you a good 3-and-D wing, a good vet 3-and-D.
Isn't that Isaac though?
He's been relevant in years.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back.
But he's not.
He's a vet now.
But he's like what, 22, 23?
In Orlando, that's being a vet.
Nah, man, you need somebody that's like 30, on 30 in their prime, probably like I don't know.
Terrence Ross is still there. You got T. Ross.
Yeah, but T Ross is not. When have you known T Ross to be like on a winning basketball team, on a winning like a contending?
He was on the
Either
Raptors a
wing
few
that's coming
years
from
ago,
a
right?
contender.
He was on the
Hey
Raptors
man,
a few years ago. Not
they
on the
could
Kawhi Raptors, but before
they
that when
could
it was just
probably
DeRozan and Lowry.
they could probably make a run for DeRozan.
Who?
But why? Why
Orlando.
would you do that if you're Orlando? That's not
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
To do what though? And
But
that,
you to make the playoffs, to do something like we got to start contending at some point, right? Or trying to contend at some point. You can't just be hoarding. Like
so
how long do
they're
they
not
got?
one piece away. They're not one piece away. They're ready right now.
I think they're ready. They're a
Mm.
couple of they're at least two moves from being ready to compete for some
So
serious
so they're
for
not
some
ready.
for a
If you
chip
still
right
need
now.
two
No,
more
no, no,
pieces, you're not
no,
ready.
no, no. For a chip, no. For a chip, probably not a chip. But to make a deep playoff run, probably a second round. They need one or two. And I'm thinking one or two vets, man.
Mm.
Yeah, you believe more in Orlando than you believe in the Nets.
No,
Word. That's crazy,
no.
bro. That really is
I believe the
crazy.
Nets. No, the Nets can win the championship as presently constructed.
I mean,
But I
they are
think
the favorite. They are the betting favorite right now to win the championship.
over Golden State and the Celtics in
Last
Milwaukee.
time I checked over the weekend,
No,
unless the odds have shifted. I
nah,
mean, maybe
last
the
time.
Celtics are still there over them,
No,
but
the
I've seen
Celtics.
a couple of
No,
books
the Celtics.
have the Nets.
No, the Celtics are still there. I think the Nets, the highest the Nets has been third.
I don't think so. Ab. Not
They've
betting
been,
wise. No, I don't
yeah,
think so.
betting. Yeah, hell yeah.
I'll check right now.
Check.
Yeah,
Check
sure.
right
I
now.
think the highest you could get them is third right now.
And also it might depend on the sports book. There's definitely
They're a
different
Yakapurtle.
variations.
They're either a Yakapurtle away or a Caruso away.
Come on, son. Come on,
You
son.
love
You
Jakob
can't.
Poeltl. No,
Yeah, yeah. Like
Come on,
he
bro.
loves
you
Jakob
love
Poeltl.
him more than Popovich does.
Come on, bro.
That's his
Come on,
man.
bro.
He's talking about Jakob like all year.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I see the Nets are second on FanDuel. I'm not logging into all these apps, but I definitely did see the Nets over the weekend as the betting favorite. Um, all right, so we've done a lot of deep diving into the NBA, but we can't talk the NBA without talking how the media talks about the NBA and other sports. So clearly, we have this stuff happening with the Hamlin thing from Monday night, and obviously there's been no significant update since we've been recording, so he's still in critical condition. But it's led to a lot of outcry, and it's led to a lot of fanfare about what should have happened, what did happen, was it the right move, was it not? And the aftermath of it is the bluest of all blue check boys. Your man Skip went out there and said the thing because he has to say the thing because he's 70 years old and he's hanging on to his relevancy. And Shannon Sharp, I guess, put his foot down by not showing up to work, holding his own silent protest, if you will. But then he spins the block today because we are recording this on Wednesday. So he spun the block today and he had his opening monologue and he was getting into his bag of why he decided to sit out Tuesday's show. And he mentioned Skip's tweet and how he hoped that Skip would delete the tweet. And then Skip jumped right in there and said, I'm not deleting the tweet. No one told me to delete the tweet. And there was a lot of animosity there, a lot of tension there. Obviously, we've been in this media thing for a minute here. We know that a lot of these shows are contrived. A lot of these shows have segments that are predetermined, like sports entertainment, aka wrestling. But my question, outside of just Skip being Skip, and so we know that,
A lot of script reading.
no comment. Does Shannon owe us more than what he did today in his silent protest yesterday? And again, I use owe us loosely, but in the sense of the culture, he likes to stand on his own and act like he's down for the cause. Take that to mean whatever you want it to mean. But as a prominent black figure on that show, after seeing a black man almost die on a football field and have Skip gloss over that fact and say the thing that some people were thinking. Skip was not alone in caring more about the outcome of the game than the health of Hamlin. Should Shannon have done more in that spot than just showing up for work, trying to get a monologue off into a camera, and then getting tight when Skip cut him off? Whoever
So
wants to take it can go.
I'll go first. So for the culture, I can't say that he should do more because I don't expect anything from him or anyone else on ESPN, for that matter, to do anything for the culture. However, as a former professional black football player who's in the Hall of Fame, I do think he should have done more on that front, because that's not that controversial as for the culture. And I sent this out earlier. I know Ab saw it. I'm not sure if you saw it, Sam, but there's a brother named last name Bush, G Bush, I think it's his Twitter account, and he really broke it down on the show. I can't remember what show it was, but he was saying that the way it was handled in general in the media is part of the problem, and not necessarily about the skip part, right? Which is obviously its own bag. But he was saying how we keep talking about, thoughts and prayers, and we're worried about this, but you don't talk about the fact that the man has only played 2 seasons in the NFL, and because of that, he's not vested. So in theory, if he never plays another down of football, he won't get any more checks from the NFL. Problem one. Problem two, that the last collective bargaining agreement, they took the pension from 22,000 a month to 4,000 a month, or some low number like that. And then he went into the whole idea of the guarantee contracts, or lack thereof, for NFL players, right? And the disability claims that you can file with NFL. I think only 15% of the claims have actually been filed and received money from these claims, right? So these are all things that you never hear in the media. You never hear from former players. So to your question about Shannon, I want to hear Shannon say that. I want to hear Shannon use his platform and break down those kind of real life issues that really affect, forget the kid, the kid's mom, the kid's family. Like, this is real life stuff, because the NFL clearly has made it known they're not going to take care of him once he is back at home. That's a clear thing.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. So use your platform for that. It would be nice in the ideal world for him to talk about the culture and really put people in their place. But again, ESPN, like all the other networks, is just really not built for us. So I can't expect that. But I do expect former players to speak up for
Fox Sports One,
Yes.
and ESPN, and ESPN.
All of them. Yep.
I mean, and
Yeah,
and,
and
keep one eye open. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, man. To just to piggyback off Sharon brings up a valid point that yes, he could combat Skip more on that, but if he brings to light all the atrocities that the NFL pulled on his players that doesn't get talked about, would bring even more light to the situation. I just want to say, like, as a black person in on TV and in media, or like just a celebrity in general, it's pretty hard not to look foolish when the camera's in front of you 24 hours. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're in front of the camera, when you're getting paid to talk, it's pretty hard to not say or do something foolish. You know what I'm saying? So no, I won't fault Shannon for not stepping up more in light of what in light of Skip's tweet. But he could have definitely, to Oso's point, brought more to like the just the inequities that the NFL does to its players, preferably their players of color, because who runs who, brings in revenue for that league.
right.
Yeah. My take on the whole Shannon thing is clearly he has made a lot of steps in terms of establishing his own platform. He has the Club Shay Shay and all that stuff. He had to sit down with Dion a few weeks ago before Kwanzaa Eve, and they chopped it up that way. So he's clearly has leveraged using his platform from the show with Skip to branch off and do his own thing. I think the next step for him is to decide whether he wants to keep showing up and collecting that check. If he decides to go out on his own, if he loses some of that audience, is he willing to take that fallback? He said some questionable things that have made us question whether he's for the culture anyway. So
100%.
it's not like he's someone we put on the pedestal anyway. I think it was just a question because there were some people that even reached out to me like, oh, should Shannon have did more for the cause? I'm like, well, to Osel's point, when has he? I mean, he just criticized HBCUs during the whole Dion thing, saying I only went to a HBCU because I ain't have the grades. Like he's kind of was shitting on HBCUs.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't really hold him in no high regard to begin with. I just think it's unfortunate that he has aligned himself with a person that clearly doesn't give a fuck about the culture, clearly doesn't care about these athletes, and he only cares about saying the thing to get people to click, tweet, watch his shit, click on the clips online, and so on and so forth. So
How many lashing? What's the lash count?
I think for which one though? For Shannon?
For Shannon, yeah. What's the lash count?
Ooh, he gave Fraud A how many?
He gave
5,000?
about 25,000.
I think Shannon's probably gonna get double that.
50,000 lashings.
I think so. I think so.
Was it? By the way, wasn't
For this-
Friday just on Fox last night?
Yes,
Fox
he's been
News?
making the rounds. He's been making the rounds, and he's been talking that GOP talk, hiding in plain sight.
I mean, the man said that he's a proud capitalist.
Well, I mean,
He did say that.
I mean, some light.
I just want the world to know that we did a whole podcast and we got a Kobe and a Hove shot in for no reason.
What happened? I didn't say anything.
No,
I'm just repping. Know what I mean? Get that Bitcoin in Marcy. Get all that Bitcoin in Marcy.
See?
I love how he gave them the Bitcoin when it was 60K a coin. Now it's 18K a coin. Is he gonna spin the block and split the difference or?
See?
Anywho,
Hey man, I did hear that Rock Nation is behind a lot of things. So
hey, I'm not saying nothing. I like my freedom.